Welcome back, everybody, to your Cre8tivity. It is October. It is the Halloween season, and we're here to talk about a ghost story. BYUtv and BBC Studios have done a version of the Canterville Ghost. I keep on saying Tales for some reason. But we are here with one of the stars, James Lance. He is best known for, recently for his role of Trent Crimm on Ted Lasso. He's also been on Black Mirror, and personal favorite of mine, Spaced by Simon Pegg. How are you, James?
I'm good. How are you doing? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. First off, I want to talk about Ted Lasso. Get that out of the way.
Sure thing.
The season just wrapped up last week or so, and you played a pivotal role, and I loved your story arc over the 2 seasons. Tell us about how you like your feelings about the character and how that story unfolded.
Well, I guess to start from the beginning, when I first heard his name, I just thought, when I first read his name, because I read the pilot episode, and I was like, Trent Crimm, wow, who's that? and he was in the press room, and there was just something about that name that got me really sort of excited, and I just knew I had to play him, and so went up for the audition and was lucky enough to get the role, and away we go. And it's been quite a ride. It really has. It's it's not over yet. And I love playing. I just love playing someone who's so curious and also so open to change, and actually just sort of 360 human, which is what so much of the is what is so good about the show. Actually, is that everybody is just really human, and they can change their mind, and they can have opposing ideas, they can have conflict, and it's not sort of cookie cutter. So that was really exciting, and obviously, Trent is on a ride. Not least if you've seen the end of the series, then he's no longer Trent Crimm the Independent.
No.
He's now just independent.
Yeah.
Because his personal ethics kind of came to the fore, and he was like, actually, this is I mean, there was a few things colliding at the same time, but he did what he felt was the right thing as a human being, which was more important to him than the right thing as a journalist.
Yeah. That's this. I did a little research on the reaction, and a lot of people are like, worst journalist ever, things like that.
Yeah, I read that too. But they didn't know what was coming, and they didn't know what his plan was. So that was kind of fun, because I was aware of the feedback. My wife said, you better check out what's happening online. It's kind of crazy. We were quite excited, because thinking, wow, they don't know what he's going to do with that. So it's been fun.
And you said there's more to come, so he will be back for more.
I believe so. I don't think that's a spoiler. I think Bill Lawrence, the producer, has said publicly that Trent Crimm, there's going to be more. There's going to be more Crimm in season 3. So there is more. There's more to the story. Yeah,
more Crimm.
More Crimm.
What's the atmosphere like on that set there?
It's pretty magical, because right from the top, it had a feeling of what's the word, really? I guess it just felt a little bit special and different, and there was elements of it you sort of think, well, in some ways this could be sort of obvious, or people might have an idea of what this is, but really quite quickly it was quite obvious that there was just a lot more going on underneath the surface. So it's really exciting to be in a show that is unafraid to go to places that you might not expect it to. That's the most, I think that's the most exciting thing, being in it and also watching it. You're just not quite sure which way it's going to go. And the atmosphere is great. I mean, it's just a really cool crew and really cool cast and great roles, and it's good fun. And Jason is an amazing man. You know, he's just a really lovely human being and so supportive of everybody right the way across the board. And he's got this kind of vision, and it's really fun being a part of making that happen.
Awesome. Well, that's a fish out of water story, and so is Canterville Ghost. You know, Americans moving to the English countryside, moving into this castle or this estate, and and you're the head of that family. It's been adapted many times. Did you refer to any of those past adaptations in preparing for the role?
I had a glance at one that starred, is it Sir John Gielgud was in one of them?
I think so.
I think he played the ghost in one. But to be honest, I don't think I actually got to the ghost in that. I just had a little look at the beginning of that show and got a feel for what they were doing. But for some reason, I didn't watch all of it. When the script arrived, I thought, it's based on a short story. What I'll do is I'll read the short story before the script. So I read the short story, which I think is like 15,000 words or something. And then I read the script right the way through. And I with each episode, I was like, wow, this is great, you know. And my favorite episode is actually episode 4, which where Jude has adapted it. Really, she starts to really kind of pull it out, and as well as it kind of digging down into the essence of the story, she really pulls it kind of goes out. And I love that. I was really surprised by that, obviously, because that isn't, you know, the whole court case and everything isn't in the original story. And I just loved all of that. I thought it was a brilliant adaptation. So sorry, in answer to your question, I only glanced at another thing and thought, okay, I think I've got the measure of that, and just went to the source.
And this is a longer adaptation. It's a 4-part mini-series. And you just talked about how expanded it is. Where was I going with that? Let's see, give me a moment.
Sure.
How do you feel it helped the characters expanding it that much from a 2-hour movie to like a 4-hour series?
Well, I think particularly in regards to the younger characters in the story, they really come to the fore by the end of the tale, which is different, I think, to the original. And it very much becomes about Laurel's storyline, who plays Hiram's daughter. And I think that was one of my favorite parts about it, really, was is how much she comes into her own and kind of comes full circle for her, because she was studying law before, and then there's this sort of idea of fate, being in the right place at the right time, and then she ends up kind of doing what she should be doing, and then also that helps liberate the ghost and all of that. I really loved all of that, and I thought that it was brilliant the way that Jude expanded that out and actually made that kind of the real heart of the piece. Yeah.
Well, the cast, it's got a big cast, and they're known, for their parts in many British films and TV series. What was it like with working with such an experienced cast like that?
Yeah, I mean, you're right to point that out. I mean, there's some amazing players there, like real classic British character actors from Jeff Rawle, who plays Bluey. He's done so many amazing things over here. I was so thrilled that he was in it. Hayden Gwynn is amazing, and I mean, kind of, it really rolls on. And a young actor called Harry Terassi is fantastic. everyone was brilliant, I thought, and and really good fun. And one of the things I love about this job is that you do get to work with some of your heroes along the way. And I love what Jeff Rawle does. I've seen him in many things, and I just think he's amazing. And also, many years ago, I saw Anthony Head in a musical called Chess. And he blew me away. He blew me out of my seat in the auditorium. And now, years later, I'm working with him on this. So that was really cool.
And he's also in Ted Lasso as well.
Yeah, he plays Rupert in Ted Lasso. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
we were actually shooting Ted Lasso whilst we were shooting this, and we would be kind of talking about how the story was unfolding and getting quite excited, and also just looking at each other going, man, this thing is getting big, isn't it? You know. So that was really good fun. Yeah.
Production. So where was it filmed?
It was filmed in the UK, and it was filmed in a very magical spot called Malvern, which is sort of on the border of Wales, and it's up in the mountains. There's sort of mountains around there, and it's a stunning. I mean, I haven't seen this show actually yet, but I imagine you will have seen some of the scenery in it. It's pretty beautiful up there.
Yeah, I got access to the first episode, and it's beautiful,
great,
beautiful landscape. Yeah, and I love England. I haven't been to England or anything like that, but I watch British shows all the time, Broadchurch and Doctor Who and all that stuff.
Right.
So love seeing the scenery there, and hopefully I can get to go there someday. But yeah, I was just wondering exactly where it was.
Yeah, it was Malvern, and I recommend if you do come over, then check out Malvern. It's really nice. I've lived here all my life, and I've never thought of going there, and it's now one of my favorite places I'll be visiting. If you like walking in the mountains and countryside, it's a great place to go.
Beautiful. Any behind the scenes stuff for the production that you can share? Just quirky things that happened.
Yeah, somebody else asked me that same question, and I was thinking, it was such a full-on shoot, and we kind of, everything was kind of 1 or 2 takes. It was pretty quick, and it was intense. We had a lot to do we had 4 hours to shoot in 10 weeks. So to be honest, nothing really went wrong, as it were, and there was no kind of comedy kind of mishaps or anything. I can't actually think of anything that went down. The only thing that I will say that was a little bit strange for me was I had just moved to a house in the countryside, and I just decided that the house we'd moved to has definitely got something funky going on. In the top of the house there was a vibe, and my wife and I were talking about it quite a bit anyway, and things were going wrong and all this kind of stuff. And so I had to kind of do a little self-imposed exorcism on the house. I got some white sage and just went around the house, and I just took, unless you're loved, then you just can move on, and we're here now, and let's work it out. I can't remember exactly what I was saying, but something came out of me, and it changed the energy of the house. It's something, whatever it was, it is now cool with us being here. And it was just at that time that I got offered the script to play Hiram, to move to the countryside in the haunted house. And it was kind of weird, because when we got here, everything went wrong. Like the electrics blew, the car broke down, my wife's laptop blew. I mean, just so many things that flooded, all kinds of stuff was happening. So that's what drove me to kind of go, okay, I got to do something with this. And it was at that point I got offered that role. I was like, what's going on? This is weird.
Well,
it all worked out.
You always want to get into your roles, and I guess that was one way.
Yeah, it really was. It was kind of strange.
So you started acting around 91. That's the earliest credit I could find.
Yes, that would be right. Well, it would have been 1984 when I was 10 years old. I did a movie called The Russian Soldier when I was a kid.
And you've had roles in tons of TV shows. Do you have any particular favorites?
Favorite TV shows that I've been in, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, gosh. What do I mean, for TV? I mean, Alan Partridge. Are you aware of him?
I'm aware of it. I haven't seen it yet, though. I heard it's good.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. So Steve Coogan does a show and plays a character called Alan Partridge, and he's been around for a while. And I was in the second season of that, which would have been, that's probably 91, isn't it? Something like that. No, maybe a bit later, around then.
Yeah.
And maybe a little later. But that was great, because he's kind of a comedy genius, and that was amazing to be in the cast of that. And while that happened, and that kind of put me on the map as an actor over here. And then, I loved being in Absolutely Fabulous. I did an episode of that with Joanna Lumley and Jennifer Saunders. That was incredible. I fell in love with Joanna Lumley, as you do if you come across her. And then I played her son in something called Sensitive Skin. I did 2 seasons of that a few years after, which was amazing. So yeah, I've had a really fun time. I do a lot of comedy, mainly. Not all, but I've done a lot of comedy. So I've worked with a lot of quite funny people, which I enjoy. Yeah.
Professionally or personally, who inspires you?
Ooh, gosh, nice question. I'm particularly enjoying listening to Gabor Mate these days, if you know him.
I don't.
So he's a doctor. He talks a lot about attachment theory. I'm a new dad, so I say a new dad now. I mean, my boy is 3 years old, and I kind of came across him through a book called "Hold Your Kids Close" or "Hold Your Kids Tight," and his mind I'm particularly loving. So I love him. David Bowie, without question, for every reason. Just as a grounded human being that could kind of be so interstellar with his talent and so broad and unique. My favorite musical artist is Nick Drake. He did 3 albums. I don't know if you've heard of him. He died in 1969, I think, something like that. But he died without his fame, kind of before he knew that was going to happen. And I listen to him all the time. I adore him. It's inspiration everywhere.
Awesome. Now, when you're being creative, what type of situations are most creative for you?
You mean as an actor?
Yeah.
Oh, I would just say probably, you kind of want to, the most creative kind of atmosphere is one that's playful, I reckon, and one that's kind of where you can just really be yourself and not be kind of too nervous to stick your neck out. That would be the main thing. So yeah, I think playfulness is probably would be key for me in terms of acting, because ultimately I guess it is play, and when you're in that kind of environment and everyone's kind of collaborative on that level and throwing ideas around, then that's really good fun. That just, it gets kind of it gets really exciting at that point. Yeah. And also when you're working with people that are intuitive and what's the word, kind of like improv, like Jason Sudeikis is just so alive when he performs. So when he's in a scene with you, he's really there and he's really doing it, and he says it differently, all the time, and he's just playing with it and he's living it, and that inspires something in me as well when I play with him. So that's that kind of vibe is pretty cool. As opposed to, I once did a play and the director said, "You will say it exactly the same every night, won't you?" And I said, "No." and he got really upset about that. And that wasn't much fun working with someone who was kind of rigid and unplayful. I don't think there's any perfect way. Maybe there is a perfect way of saying it, but I'm always up for kind of exploring what that might be.
That makes me think of Kevin Smith. I've been a big follower of his, since the beginning, since Clerks. And at the beginning, he was like word on the page, type of things. But as his career went on and movies went on, he would get a lot more, open to, improvising lines and stuff like that. And his stuff is so playful and fun.
Yeah, you can feel it, can't you? It's just great when it's like that, when it, or even if it's at least born out of that kind of thing, like, yeah. I don't know, what's Curb Your Enthusiasm? Is that, I don't know, they must do loads of improvisation around that, I would think.
Yeah, Larry David and Jeff Garlin and JB Smoove. Yeah, they're all great improvisers. So yeah. And
I think you can tell.
Soon. What was that?
Oh, really? I think you can tell when it has that vibe.
Yeah. And I've met JB Smoove. I work for a comedy club, and he came through years ago, and he's just really fun, nice guy.
Nice.
Speaking of playful, maybe not in the most positive ways, Black Mirror, you were on the episode where I had the animated character.
Yes.
Yeah, it was kind of reflecting on politics and things like that. How was it working with on that show? Because that was another kind of interesting anthology type show where you didn't know what was going to happen next.
Yeah, again, a really fresh script. I mean, Charlie Brooker's just he's just got a great mind, doesn't he? And I love him because he he was I don't know if you know, but he was kind of a TV critic over here, and he would write these amazing reviews, and then that would kind of, it could be quite cutting about other people's work, and then he just kind of put his money where his mouth is and just went, actually, what about this? And I really enjoyed watching the way that he has evolved as a writer and a thinker, and he's ahead of the curve. So it was great to be on that show. I loved it. Yeah, really, just a really cool piece of material.
I'm trying to think if there's anything. Getting started, did you go to school for acting, theater and things like that?
I did, yeah. So I grew up in the countryside in Somerset, and I knew I wanted to be an actor. I was living in the middle of nowhere, but I was doing amateur dramatics as a kid, and the BBC came down. They were shooting a film in a village nearby, and they wanted a kid for it, and so they approached the amateur dramatics, and then I auditioned, and I got the role, and that was at the age of 10. And it was like stepping into Narnia or something. It was just so magical, and that was it. I just 100% knew that this was the thing I wanted to do. So I got an agent, and then I came across these kids that were called theatre school kids, kids that went to this special school. And once I realized that even existed, I flunked out most of my sort of academic work, and after 2 years of that, my mum eventually, with me kind of repeatedly saying, please let me go to this theatre school, I auditioned for that, and then I ended up going to London when I was sort of 12, just about 13. So then I was at theatre school, which meant that I was doing 3 days academic a week, 2 days vocational, singing and dancing and acting and all that stuff, but also auditioning for things right the way through. So I started pretty young, and got onto sets pretty young. So it was I loved it. I loved every second of it.
Awesome. Yeah, I always wonder how people get started in their creative journeys. We've got our bonus questions to close things out. And speaking of creativity, our show's called Your Cre8tivity. What does creativity mean to you?
What does creativity mean to me? I guess creativity means, in one word, it would be expression. Moving on from that, I guess it's just it kind of means discovering, in digging into anything, and digging into, it's kind of like for some reason I'm thinking of the rainbow, and they always say there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. It's like just following you. It's actually, I'm going to quote Ted Lasso, who quotes Gandhi, like follow your bliss. And for me, creativity is just like following a trail and just going as far as you can with it until you find something sparkly.
Love it. Who is your favorite Muppet and why?
Oh, that would be Animal.
Nice.
It's got to be Animal, just not least because that's the best use of eyebrows I've ever seen. I now realize, and I just liked his energy. Yeah, Animal. Yeah.
And then I always feel weird asking this of actors. In the film of your life, who would you like to play you?
Goodness me. Who would I like to play me? That's crazy. I'm thinking Alan Rickman, but he's like not here and he's kind of too old. but sort of in essence, he might be fun. I worked with Alan Rickman many years ago on a movie, and he was just exquisite, both on screen and off screen. He was just such a gentleman, so well prepared. Like, he really knew his stuff. He turned up on set with like a file of just ideas and everything. And I was so impressed with how funny he was. I'd forgotten, you know, when you think of him, it's like, you think of how funny he was, like as Robin of Sherwood, you know, and yet it's easy to sort of forget that side of Alan Rickman. And that's what I loved about him in terms of his breadth. Like, he had this really solemn kind of brilliant, searing intelligence, but he also had the kind of physical comedy of you know, some of the funniest out there. And so I loved him, and I love him, and I would like him to play me.
Great answer. Yeah, love Alan Rickman. Galaxy Quest, like, you know.
Yeah, right.
And,
it's so good.
And of
so
course,
good.
Snape. Yeah.
Snape. Right. Yeah. He had soul too.
So the Canterville Ghost, it is debuting on BYUtv, the app, and the TV station here. Is it the BBC going to broadcast it? Do you know?
I believe so. I think it's coming on in America first, and then it comes on over here later. But I'm not sure exactly when that is.
Okay.
If I don't know if that's been announced.
If people want to see what you're up to, you know, is there any social media that they can follow you on or anything?
I'm not on any social media. I made the big mistake many years ago when social media came in. I thought, no, I don't think that's going to last. and how wrong was I? And then it's just too late. And also, I'm not on anything. I'm afraid. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I love your work, and I appreciate you coming on, and I hope our paths cross again. And,
anytime.
Thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. It's been really lovely chatting to you.
And with you too. Have a good evening.
Thank you, and have a good day.
Will do. Thanks.
Cool, man.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
There we go. All the best.
All the best.